It has now been a year since Syrians rose up against the Assad dictatorship. Today, the Muslim holy day, the streets were once again filled with protesters demanding that Bashar al-Assad go. The UN says 8,000 civilians have been killed in Assad's brutal crackdown on dissent. The freedom movement in Syria started last year as revolutions swept through Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya. Clarissa Ward tells us the Syrian uprising began with a few teenagers, and she caught up with one of them in Jordan.
When 15-year-old Mohammed and a group of young boys spray-painted "down with the regime" on a school wall 1 year ago, they had no idea that their actions would spark a revolution. We saw it during the other Arab revolutions, he said. We just wrote the same. 2 days after painting the graffiti, Mohammed says he and 7 other boys, the youngest of whom was just 10 years old, were arrested by security forces. He says they were tortured. They hung me from the door by my hands for 4 hours, he told us. They stripped me naked, and then they began to beat me. The boys were released 2 weeks later, but their detention and torture ignited large protests in their hometown of Dera, protests the regime tried to stop with brutal tactics. Mohammed and his family fled to Jordan in fear for their lives. 1 year later, the regime continues its violent crackdown on the opposition. The number of people fleeing the country continues to rise.
That is Syria just behind me. We're actually so close that we can see the Syrian network on our cell phones. Since the uprising began a year ago, more than 7,000 people have made the dangerous journey from inside Syria to the safety of Jordan.
Most stay in small private homes provided by charities like this one. Almost all have horrifying stories from inside Syria and don't want their faces to be shown. This man claims that pro-government thugs, known as Shabiha, attacked him at a protest. He says they tied an explosive to his hand and blew it up. Despite all the deaths and suffering of the past year, Mohammed says he would do the same again. A lot of youths have died for the revolution in Syria, he said. They were kids just like me. They went to take part in those demos, and they never came back. Clarissa Ward, CBS News, Amman.